Hey, what is going on, guys? It's DK. Back at you with another video here to bring the 3-game NBA preseason slate on Thursday. Before I get into the video, if you guys are new to the channel, welcome. My name is DK. I make daily videos and live stream for NBA and NFL slates on Draftkings. If you're interested in the Thursday Night Football show on slate, I have a video breaking down that one. Also be live streaming tomorrow for it. So make sure to check out that video and live stream. If you guys are unable to watch these videos, I also upload on Apple Podcasts. Link in the description below. It's called the DKDFS show. And if you're interested in signing up for premium content, now is a good time. Beginning of the month, I offer a few different packages. NBA package, we go over every single preseason slate. NFL package, we cover the showdown and main slates. And then esports package, that includes Call of Duty and CSGO. Gold is a combination of everything. And I want to thank today's sponsor, PrizePicks. I'm sure if you guys have been watching my videos for a while, you're familiar with PrizePicks. But if it's your first time watching, there are two different ways you can play for NBA. The first way is taking over/under on straight-up fantasy points. Right now we have, 12 players posted for tomorrow. So you can take the over or the under. For example, Maxi project for 27.5 fantasy points, right? Over or under. Or you can go over to single stat if you prefer points. They'll probably add rebounds, assists in here, as well as, earlier. I would say tomorrow that stuff will probably be added. So if you guys do want to try it out, you can sign up, use my code DKDFS. DKDFS, all one word. Link in the description below. You get 100% match up to $100. And finally, I want to thank you guys again for all of your support, whether it be the NFL videos, NBA videos, live streams. Really do appreciate all you guys coming in and watching the videos every single day. If you do enjoy all the content, if you could, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you know when I upload and go live. Okay. Let's try to aim for 100 likes on this video. Again, every single like does help out. So, all right, before we get into players and the prices for this 3-game slate, let's look back my lineup here from Wednesday's slate. So Wednesday, you guys know the deal, right? Once again, I have some tilting to do. If a certain couple stars would have played the second half, or if we would have got news from their coaches, Steve Kerr, I'm looking at you. It would have been nice if we could have got news that Steph was only playing half, right? That would have been helpful to me. All right, let's go over my lineup. And I was about 5 to 10 points out in GPPs. And it's pretty tilting. So, again, Bones, NAW, Herbert Jones, Giles, JV, Steph, Hartenstein, and Jokic. So, low-owned Jokic, 39 fantasy points. He played one half. Didn't play the third quarter. And Steph Curry, he was the chalk, obviously. In the super high stakes, he goes up in ownership, right? Ownership always condenses in the good plays in the high stakes. 71% Steph, and only plays the first half. After the first preseason game, he plays in the second half. So, if you do play preseason DFS, I know it's part of the game. You got to be willing to accept that variance sometimes is going to happen to you, bad variance or even good variance. So, Steph and Jokic only playing a half was super tilting, right? It would have been great if we would have got that news, but nope, didn't get that news. So that was definitely frustrating. And then, a couple other things. Let's talk about the Cavs Hawks, the Cleveland Cavaliers Atlanta Hawks game. All right. So the Cleveland Cavaliers are on a back-to-back. This is the preseason, and they're on a back-to-back. So you're thinking, okay, starters, maybe 20 minutes, maybe 25 at most, right? You don't want to push these guys, especially in the preseason. There's just no need, right? So what do the Cavs do? Darius Garland plays like 36 minutes. You have a couple other guys push for 30-plus minutes, too. The one that really got me, though, on the opposite side for Atlanta. So what we got news before the game that they wanted to give the young guys a lot of run, okay? Gorgie Jang played 32 minutes. Just think about that for a second, okay? Hawks. Play their young guys more. What does that end up happening? Gorgie Jang, 32 minutes and almost a triple-double. So, again, sometimes if you played like Jang or some of those Cavs guys, you got lucky. If you played Steph or Jokic, you got unlucky. Unfortunately, I got hit with the bad variance tonight, right? Stuff like that can happen. We're not going to always get news exactly of what players are going to play. So, yeah, if Steph Curry and Jokic played the second half, Jokic was low-owned, I would have made big money tonight. Again, I was only about 5 to 10 points out in GPPs. Another, quarter of Steph and Jokic would have pushed me in the money easily. But, so Bones Highland, he was cheap. He had a good game last game. Used him for value. What I was hammering home on Patreon was I wanted to load up on the Pelicans. Load up. So NAW and JB both like, oh, I forgot about this. Jonas Valanciunas smashing. He gets ejected. So the last 3 days, I have dealt with injury foul trouble. I have dealt with players having a picnic. And now I have to deal with an ejection. Now, sure, I know, right, he got ejected in the second half. Probably wouldn't have played that many more minutes. But still, like, every minute matters a ton in the preseason. So I forgot about that. I was, like, tilting about, Steph and Jokic. I forgot about JV getting ejected. But, yeah, so I also originally had Bagley in here, but once we got news he wasn't starting, I did make a pivot to Hartenstein. Now, unfortunately, he was crushing. He only played 9 minutes. I mean, can we talk about that Clippers rotation, too? They run an 8-man rotation in the first half. Hartenstein plays, 9 minutes in the first half, and then they just empty the bench in the second half. Like, what are we doing here? But, that was it for the look back. We had, I saw some big winners once again in the Discord. Not everyone won, right? Obviously, having Steph Curry and GPPs is going to be tough to win the big money. Again, though, you got to be willing to accept that's just the variance that sometimes goes into preseason. But we did have some big winners. Reese had a takedown. I saw James in the 2-2-2 had a chance to win it. If Steph doesn't get benched, he would have won it. Let's just go up to James. I think he still won $700-800. Yeah, he was 211 to 222. Again, people caught him with Fox, but yeah, if you would have got the second half, he had Jokic and Steph too. Again, he loaded up on the Pelicans with NAW, Marshall, Murphy. Again, those three plus JV. I like Hernan Gomez for value. Herbert Jones was the one that didn't do the best, but yeah, mostly those Pelicans had a really, really good game. That's it for the look back, guys. Hope you had a good night. Hope you got in the cash, and let's talk about this 3-game slate. Okay, so we'll start off with Memphis, and let's first look back at the minutes. Last game for the Grizzlies. Now, I do want to say some of these minutes are embellished. I think the guys that were on the court in the third quarter for when the game got canceled, they just got an extra 12 minutes, right? So you had Triple J played 33 minutes. He didn't play 33, right? Desmond Bane played 30. So I think they just added 12 to these guys. They added 12 to Triple J. They added 12 to Bane. They added 12 to Kyle Anderson. They added 12 to Tyus Jones. And they added 12 to Chris Dunn, right? Chris Dunn did not play 17 minutes and not accrue a stat, right? He only played 5 minutes. So just FYI, if you're looking at these stats, that's kind of what happened. Ja Morant played 24 minutes. I think we'd expect the same unless we hear otherwise. So going over and taking a look at the pricing, 8.8K for Ja. I do think he makes for one of the safer spend-ups on the board. Again, young guy, going into his third year, so I see no reason why they would limit his minutes, again, unless we hear otherwise. So I think Ja is a really, really solid play. Zaire Williams is too expensive at 7.6. I'm not sure why he's that pricey. Again, Triple J at 6.8K, so if you subtract 12 minutes, he played 21 minutes, probably would have been about it. Maybe would have played another minute or two. I think he's fine. He's obviously a good shot blocker. I think he had 4 or 5 blocks in that game. Again, they say 33. It was not 33 minutes. He had 4 blocks. Yeah, so he's a guy that can block some shots. But I will mention, you play Triple J, he's a guy that's in foul trouble all the time. So that is something you have to worry about. Steven Adams, I think, is relatively safe play. Again, if you take a look at his minutes, he played, where's Steven Adams? 22. 22 got a double-double. Again, not a guy that's going to really win you GPP, but he's probably not going to kill you either. Usually he has a pretty high floor. So I think Adams is solid. Again, Tillman, a little pricey for me. Again, probably would have got more run in that fourth quarter. Kyle Anderson is questionable. I'll have to keep an eye on that. I do think a couple of these cheaper options are interesting here. So DeAnthony Melton, we know, is a pretty good point per minute guy, and he picked up a start, and he played well. He played 19 minutes only, but 14, 4, and 3. If Melton picks up the start again, I think he's firmly in play. I also think Desmond Bane is viable at 4-2. Again, rookie, didn't play a ton, right? Played, 18 minutes, but probably would have gotten some run, I would think, in that fourth quarter. So you got Bane, you got Melton, I think, are viable here as some cheaper options. And then, yeah, I think that's kind of where I'm at right now for Memphis. Let's move on to Charlotte. So Hornets spread out the minutes a decent amount. No one really played more than 20, or I guess Jalen McDaniels played 23 minutes. Now, there are a couple injuries to go over here. So Gordon Hayward is out. Mason Plumlee's out. And then you have Kelly Oubre doubtful. So there is, some 3 guys actually out. So that should open up some minutes for some other guys. We'll see about starters in the minutes. Again, only about 20 is not great. But would think those minutes go up. So with Rozier versus LaMelo Ball, I think LaMelo is the safer option, right? He's just a guy that can stuff a stat sheet. He had a good game in pretty limited time. He had 15, 6, and 5. So I think LaMelo is safe. And if we do get news that they're going to play more minutes, I think he looks, again, like a good point per dollar play. Don't hate Rozier, but I think I just prefer LaMelo. Rookie James Bouknight had a pretty solid game off the bench. He played 21 minutes, went for 24 and 2. In the summer league, he was a little bit reliant on the scoring, so that's the one concern there. Again, with Hayward, Oubre out, and Mason Plumlee. So Plumlee started at the 5. I'm curious to see who they start at the 5. Do they move P.J. Washington in the starting 5 and go kind of small? Or do they maybe go to one of these other bigs like a Richards, Vernon Carey, K. Jones? We'll see. But yeah, P.J. Washington I do think is a solid play either way at this price point. Right, he played 20 minutes off the bench. I think he could play a little bit more in this game. So he's someone I'm looking to. Miles Bridges, I think, could play a few extra minutes too with Hayward, Oubre out. So those two, I think, make for some solid value too. And then really just keep an eye on the starting lineup. Like maybe if one of these value bigs picks up the start at the 5, I think they would be firmly in play. All right, let's move on to Toronto and Philadelphia. So Toronto, first preseason game, actually gave the starters some decent run. You had Fred VanVleet play 23, Precious 25, Scotty Barnes played 25, OG played 25. A couple guys on the bench, Banton 24. Svi had a really good game, 22 minutes, kind of uncharacteristic of him to stuff the stat sheet. And then Justin, I'm going to call him Champagne. That's what I called him summerly, Justin Champagne. Is a good point per guy and a good game, 17, 10, and 3. They'll have him listed as a small forward, even though he plays more of the power forward center position. So taking a look at the players here, Fred VanVleet, he got 23 minutes. So I think he's a solid play if we get similar run. Again, rookie Scotty Barnes, he played some of the backup point guard. I just think he's going to get probably the most minutes on the team. So he could push for 25 plus. I think he's a good play. Again, he stuffed the stat sheet. He was all right in the summer league, not great, but he had a really good first game, 13, 9, and 6. So I like to see, right, guys that can really fill up a stat sheet. Dragic's probably not someone I'm as high on because he only played 60 minutes, and he's a veteran, so like you wouldn't think they need to push him. OG's fine. I think OG's like a decent pivot off Scotty Barnes. I would assume Barnes gets a decent amount of ownership. Going to go OG. I don't hate that. But then there's some value we got to talk about here. So yeah, Precious Achiuwa was a guy I played last slate. Like the same bigs are out again, right? We have Baines out, Birch out, Boucher out. They also have Yuta Goat out, even though he's not really a big. He's more of a wing. But yeah, Precious started last game, played 25 minutes. He's a good point per minute guy. So assuming he starts again, I like Precious Achiuwa. And then again, I call him Champagne. He played some solid minutes too, and they have him listed as a small forward. So those two value guys, I think, are pretty solid plays. Svi Mykhailiuk, yeah, he's fine. Do I trust him to stuff the stat sheet again like he did last game? Not really, but he's at least worth a look too. And then, yeah, Banton's another guy that can fill up the stat sheet, going for 6, 5, and 4. He's a solid defender, so I think he's viable too. So really, there's definitely some value here for Toronto with them being kind of banged up. And then the main guys, VanVleet, Barnes, OG, all in play too. All right, Philadelphia. So first preseason game a couple days ago, you had Drummond play 24 minutes, Maxey 21. A couple guys on the bench pushed for 20, Reed and Joe. But we do have news that most likely Embiid and Tobias Harris are going to play. Now, here's one where it's like, all right, how many minutes do we get from Embiid, right? If you're going into tomorrow and you don't get news of Joel Embiid's minutes, there's a chance he only plays the first half, right? So you got to realize like that could happen. There's also a chance he plays into the third quarter. So this one's a tricky one, right? If I knew Embiid was going to play into the third quarter, I would play him for sure. Now, will we get that news? I'm not sure. Again, and Embiid's injury prone, so you would feel like there's no need to push him. So Embiid's one I'm kind of torn on. Hopefully we get clarity. If we don't, it's going to be up to you on whether or not you want to roll the dice, right? Like, again, I got burned with Jokic and Curry only playing a half. We didn't get any news about that. If we don't get news in Embiid, you got to realize there's a chance he might only play, a first half or so. And same thing with Tobias Harris. So we'll see. Again, if both play similar minutes, I'm definitely going to prefer Embiid to Tobias, but that'll be a situation that hopefully we get news from. Now, Drummond, I do think, is still viable with Embiid most likely playing. I mean, he's a good point per minute guy. Now, minutes might go down a little bit on Drummond, but if he still pushes like 15 to 20 minutes on the bench, like he can crush in that time. You saw what he did last game. So still a little bit interested in Drummond. I still have some interest in Maxey, too. I think the ownership's going to drop. He had a subpar game as chalk last game, but we know Maxey's still a guy that can put up a good amount of fantasy points in a short amount of time. Like, he's aggressive on the offensive end. And I do think he's a viable contrarian play now because, again, he kind of burned some people. So I think ownership's going to drop, but still a little bit interested in a guy like Maxey. And then the value, I'm probably going to stay away from. Like, Paul Reed was a guy I played a lot in the summer league, but like he will now be like the third string big if Embiid plays. So not a ton else really here for value for Philly if Embiid and Tobias do end up playing. Let's move on to Miami. So Miami first preseason game, they rested Jimmy Butler. Bam only played 15 minutes. PJ Tucker 13. Lowry only 15. Hero played 26. That was kind of expected. He saw big minutes last preseason, and he is obviously one of their younger players. So taking a look at their prices, Jimmy, again, he rested the first preseason game. You would think they kind of take it easy on his minutes. So unless we get clarity that Jimmy Butler is going to play in the second half, I would say it's a pretty big risk. Kind of the same with Bam and Adebayo, right? He did only play 15 minutes. Is there a chance those minutes go up? Yes, but let's just wait and see. So, yeah, if we do get news they're going to play in the second half, then obviously I have interest in both those Miami guys. I think the safest option has got to be Tyler Hero, who played big minutes last game. He shot really well, 9 of 12. I think he has the opportunity to play the most in this team, so I think Hero is safe. Again, Lowry's in the same boat as Jimmy, like a veteran that, like, we'll see. Again, he played limited minutes last game, so not as high in him at the moment. Again, obviously things can change when we get more news. One value play I'll mention here is a guy that if you played Summer League, we played him almost basically every single slate he was on the slate. We played Omer Yurt Goat 7. So the issue I have with Yurt 7 is, as of right now, they have two other centers in front of them, Bam and Dwayne Dedmon. Now, maybe if one of those guys get rested or rule out, then I would have a lot more interest in Yurt 7. But let's just take a look at what he did, right? He played limited minutes, 14 minutes, and still played pretty well. 4, 8, and 1 in 14 minutes is pretty solid. So, as it stands right now, it's just a contrarian value play. But if one of those centers in front of him, like maybe they give Dedmon the night off, or maybe Bam sits, then Yurt 7 becomes way more viable. Again, a guy that crushed in the Summer League, absolutely crushed. All right, and finishing up with Houston. So the minutes on the Rockets were a little up and down some guys, right? You had a couple starters, Tice, Eric Gordon not play, or played about 20 minutes. Wood played a little more, 23. And then you had KPJ, 29. Jalen Green, 28 minutes. Sengun, again, I'm still tilted about that. He was low owned and had 5 fouls in 9 minutes. Look at this. 5, 8, and 3. I think he had like a steal on the block in only 13 minutes. But all right, let's start with the top guy. So Wood played 23 minutes. He's a guy that is a good scorer, obviously a good rebounder. I think, assuming we get similar minutes, I think he's a pretty safe play. Garuba's too pricey for me, rookie from Spain. I don't know why he's priced up that much. Christopher, I was surprised. I was really surprised he wasn't in the main rotation. He only came in garbage time play the last 9 minutes, but he was really good, 11, 2, and 2. And this guy was solid in the Summer League. So I was a little bit surprised that you had, DJ Augustine play over him or David Nwaba. What are we doing here? Give your rookie minutes. So that did surprise me that Christopher only played garbage time. So as it stands right now, nothing more than a dart throw, right? You're not going to feel confident unless we get news that he's going to be in like the main rotation. Gordon, I'll pass on. Again, he got limited minutes. KPJ is probably going to be one of the most popular players in the slate, but it's for good reason, right? He played the most minutes out of everyone, 29 minutes. He's going to handle the ball a ton, 25, 4, and 5. So it's hard not to like Kevin Porter Jr. I don't think we had to spend a ton of time there. It's I think he's one of the best plays. Again, he's going to be super popular, though. And then Jalen Green, too. Rookie, he played a ton of minutes. He got a good amount of shot attempts up. He played, 28 minutes, went for 12, 6, and 2. He shot the ball 14 times, 0 of 6 from 3, and still put up a solid fancy game. So I think those two are very safe because of minutes last game, that being Kevin Porter Jr. and Jalen Green. Tice is just fine at 5.5, right? Don't expect big minutes, but he'll be decent when he's out there. And then gotta mention Sengun. This is my boy. I'm telling you, if he stays out of foul trouble last game, he probably plays around 20 minutes and crushes. He's still on for over 20 minutes and 13 minutes, so over 20 fancy points. So I like Sengun a good amount. He's been impressing in practices. He was good when he was on the court last game. So I think Sengun's a decent contrarian value play. Don't know if a ton of people are going to be on him, but definitely someone I'm considering there. But yeah, overall, looking at players and the prices, I think this is a slate where you could leave some salary on the table. Last couple, definitely wanted to use most of your salary. This one, I could see leaving some salary on the table. Obviously, keep an eye on some news, right? Hopefully, we do get some clarity on guys and minutes, but you got to realize if we don't, there's a chance, sometimes to get the short on the stick. And it happened to me tonight. Again, if Jokic and Steph Curry play that third quarter, I'm winning big money. So I'm not really mad about it because there's just nothing I can do about stuff like that. So yeah, that's it for the video today, guys. If you have been enjoying the content, would really appreciate it if you could hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you don't upload videos and go live. Thanks again, guys. Have a great night, and I will see you all in the next video.